Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat."
All right, round two. My buddy Greg, we met each other a few years ago at work. Dude, you've been like super supportive the whole time. Great friend. Like you and Nico, I talk to you guys like, we text almost every day.
Yeah.
Just great dudes in my life. And, we talked about day before rehab for me. You've never been to rehab, but you've definitely been affected by addiction.
Yeah.
More ways than one. Other mental health issues that probably never go away, that you deal with daily.
Yeah.
So I think let's talk about what like your most recent experience, right? You were a concrete foreman, right?
Yeah.
You've done that with work in the Carpenters Union, Philadelphia. You've done that for what, 15, 20 years?
22.
22
years.
The
same time in.
Yeah. So, and you left that, became a superintendent, right? For a construction manager.
Yeah.
That was
3 years ago.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So what was that like for you and your wife when you made that decision? Because I know Mr. Thompson, convinced you that this was the move, and it was at the time.
The travel was a lot.
It's like an hour.
Yeah. Hour there, however long you're there.
Yeah.
And then hour and change home.
Right. And you're like...
But me and my wife talked about it. Like we knew that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of just 1 month in, 2 months in, then it started ramping up.
Yeah.
And then you get like to the midway point, you're like, oh, it's going to be over. I remember like saying like, it's going to be over, but it's never going to be over.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
Like guys progress through jobs where it's like highs and lows, just like anything in life.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, when I get to the next job, it's going to be better. Mm-hmm. You just tell yourself that.
Yeah.
It might make you feel better. I don't know.
Well,
but a lot of people do that.
The first job I did with the company we were with was 2.5 years long at UPenn.
Yeah.
And it was just me and George. And that was a lot.
Yeah.
And you just never think it's going to fucking end. And then it ends. And then you go to another crazy project.
Yeah.
And when you're in that, you're like, this is never going to end.
Yeah, you can come up for air for a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like in the concrete world. It's like, all right, the footers are in. Then when they're erecting the building, it's like, all right, do some diamonds or it calms down.
Calms down a little bit. You can kind of think a little bit.
And then you go to the next one. And it's just a cycle that just keeps going.
So I know this is like a professional discussion for right now, but what was that like when you made the decision to leave something you were so good at to go to something you've never done before in your entire life?
Yeah, it was like stepping into something that I've never done before. So it's like you take your comfortability out of it. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, oh, none of these people know who I am. Not that you need to come in the door and it's like, look who I am. I can do 2 + 2. I can do all this stuff. You guys just don't know it yet.
Yeah, well, you always say to me, like, I might not have the answer, but I know I will be able to figure it out.
Yeah. Like when I met you, I didn't know anybody except Mark.
Right.
I didn't know the people that worked there. I didn't know my new coworkers.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to just build a rapport with everybody.
And that was the best part of that job, if there was a best part, was the fact that we all got along.
The people.
Yeah, we got along really well. The whole team.
Yeah.
The whole team.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
Yeah, it was kind of like a badge of honor type thing. Like, oh, well, if things are bad, I have these people with me.
And not to mention, Mr. Thompson, he's the best leader on the planet.
Yeah.
The guy, he's like unbreakable.
Yeah, it could be like if a comet crashes right in this living room. Like you would just look at him and he'd be like, it's all right.
Yeah, well, did you die?
Yeah. What's the worst thing that happened? It's like nothing.
And that was always his mindset. Like, if nothing catastrophic happened, we'll be all right.
Yeah. There was a guy, another mentor of mine, Vince. He used to say...
Is that the guy that I met?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He used to say, Nothing out here should get you upset. But 20-year-old me, 20-something-year-old me is like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know? But I think you could say that from having the side of experience.
Well, it's easy to say that looking back, right? Obviously, you know, with hindsight or retrospectively.
Yeah, even if you do it in clumps of like 5 years. Like,
yeah.
I've been a parent it's like being a parent or doing anything for being sober, anything. You
well, like
gain time.
Right. What was immensely difficult for me day one, week one in construction management is considerably different now.
Yeah.
After 7-8 years doing it, you know?
Yeah, I used to say like you're looking through a peephole, and then the more and more it just gets your vision gets broader and broader.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, with anything, being a parent, like you know, with our daughter, everything new to her is new to me. It's not like I'm on version kid 4, and it's like, trunk or treat. Yeah, I've done that 4 times. Like I've never done it before.
Right.
You know,
that was one of the things that my therapist talked to me about my daughter. You know, there's no playbook for this shit. I had her at 20.
Yeah.
You know, like you were guaranteed.
I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah, you were guaranteed to make mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think now that she's 21, she understands that I had no idea what the fuck I was doing, and you were a kid. You know what I mean? You're a kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at your daughter, and think like I was your age.
Yeah.
Not to sound like, hey, when I was your age, I did this. But
yeah. Like her age now, she was 1. You know, when I was her age now, she was 1.
Yeah.
It's like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I was 34.
Yeah. When
Rosie was born.
And still, it's brand new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just turned 40, and it's not like I have everything figured out.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So that's like you send me a lot of text and spiritual stuff, and you know, we're never gonna have this shit figured out, but you always have a good way of sending me something or putting words into perspective for me where it's like nobody has it figured out.
No.
Nobody.
No.
You know? But so let's back it up a little bit. You know, I had your sister and a friend on the podcast.
Yeah.
You know, she was great. And she talked a little bit about what it was like growing up. And, you know, I don't know if anything's off limits, but she said you were very closed off with discussing those types of things. You want to get into any of that?
Yeah.
So can you kind of elaborate like what your childhood was like?
It wasn't that good in the sense of like a family unit. Like when we were growing up, especially when I was probably middle school, like you start going when you go to like other people's houses.
You see what normal looks like or what supposedly
it's normal to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And you just like look around. It's like, oh, well, I don't have that at home. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just natural. It's like you crave what you don't have, or, you know what I mean? Like you just look for certain things, but it's like, oh, both parents are there.
Right. They get along?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Spaghetti dinner's not on the wall. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like
your dad didn't kick a hole in the chair because he was drunk? That's so stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd be at dinner and like somebody would like cough weird and she'd pick the food up and throw it against the wall.
Dude.
And be like, nobody's eating. And you're like a 8-year-old chubby me. And you're like, okay.
Dude, I used to make sandwiches out of everything.
Yeah.
You know, like my dad would make like meatloaf mashed potatoes and make a fucking sandwich.
Yeah.
And he would get so pissed. But God forbid if you spilled a drink at the dinner table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was the man, but that was just one thing that he would set him over the top.
Yeah.
Like, you're like a little kid. You're like, you fucking made a mistake, dude. And he would snap.
Yeah. Like I look at it now with my daughter and she will do something like that. And like I have 2 options, like either blow off the stack or just say she just spilled a drink.
Yeah. It was an accident.
It was an accident. Yeah. And thankfully it's an accident.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, but I look back at it like my mom was early 20s when she had me and then my sister Dana. So like was she supposed to handle that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe she wasn't a correct timeline in her life to have kids, but who's to say when it is the right time?
Right.
You know, but there was a lot of, you know, addiction in my family on both sides. And, you know, the family got split up. Like at one point it was me and Dana. And then I went with my grandma, my mom's mom, and Dana went with my dad to his parents.
How was that decision made?
I can't really remember because we were young.
Yeah.
Like I might have been 6. Dana was 4, or she's 3 years apart. So I was either 6 and she was 3, or I was 7 and she was 4, something like that.
Yeah, my sister and I, we're 3 years apart too. I get it.
And I don't know if it's just like you block things out, but as I'm trying to think of it now, it's like you just poof, and I'm at my grandmom's house. Mm-hmm. And I know that I don't live with my sister, I don't live with my dad, I don't live with my mom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, like we had experiences like that growing up where all of a sudden now you can think back like, man, I must have spent like a couple weeks in a row at my grandparents' house.
And then you're there for 3 years.
Well, you don't realize it in the moment. Like you think you're on vacation at your grandparents' house, but really your parents are going through hell and your dad's in rehab and you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. It'd be my mom. I'd be knocking on the door and my mom's like smoking crack in the bathroom.
No shit.
Yeah. And I'm like, why are your hands shaking like that? Oh, I'm tired. Or, you know what I mean? Like now I think of that stuff and I'm like, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, or my mom be in rehab and they're like, oh, mom's in, she's sick. Mm-hmm. And the first maybe 20 times I don't catch on. And you go there and it's like, she comes down, everybody's wearing the same stuff, like the shirt, I don't know if it was like a uniform for the patients or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Go to Miramont.
That's why I was there.
Yeah. It's like, I have pictures of as I was a kid. And it's like my mom and me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy.
You don't even know which way is up.
No.
It's not like you're directing traffic.
Yeah, like the other adults in my life are just like, this is just what it is.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to tell you because you want to protect people that you care about. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like even if when you were in rehab, like when I listened to the episode coming up, you said you were working out of town.
Yeah, first 2 times, yeah.
It probably happens a million times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you don't want to, you only want to show people what you want to show them.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to have that awkward talk, whether your child's 2 or she's 80.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's where the tough part is. It's like we all choose to show people what we want to show them.
Well, when you think back now, because I can relate to some degree knocking on the bathroom door and your mom was doing what she was doing. Like, what do you think when you think now about that back then? Like, how does that affect you now? Does it? Because I think I block shit out, compartmentalize.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But it happened.
Yeah,
it happened. I saw my dad detox on the couch. Like I saw his crazy eyes, and I was like, okay. It's fucking Tuesday.
Yeah, I think back then it was just like you just don't know, and it's just like
it's your reality. It's your normal.
Yeah, you might. I remember we'd move a lot all the time, and I'm like, all right, where are we going now? You know what I mean? Like, because my main address would be at my grandmom's house. So I think like when I was young, I would stay there and go to school.
Okay,
but I really don't remember because there was a lot of jumping around.
Yeah,
and I might have just numbed some of that stuff out or blocked it out due to trauma.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it affects me today. It might affect me in just the way of being self-aware with like how I am with my daughter.
Yeah,
our daughter.
How your actions affect her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when I go to therapy, I talk to my therapist and I remember being at home and like you'd hear a cup spill over and like the kids would flinch. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not from like physical abuse, but just like chaos is going on.
Yeah.
I look over and see my daughter sitting there and she's like oblivious to the world. It's like a safe space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like that's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah.
Just there. Mm-hmm. Like I don't need to make $1 million a year. Like that's the stuff where I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I could have had that.
Well, I always wondered like what my life would be like if my parents got along and my dad wasn't a drug addict. But then I think I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't change. I heard somebody say, whether it was on a podcast or something like Mike Tyson just said it. When people say they have no regrets, he says they're fucking full of shit. Now, I agree and disagree with that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't change anything about my past because then I wouldn't be here talking to you today, and this is where I want to be. I have regrets though. Like I've harmed some people.
I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I shouldn't. Whatever. Whether you quit a job or you were horrible to an ex-girlfriend, like things like that. Like I regret that, but at the end of the day, that's what got us to the place we're at now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like I always wondered like what life would be like if my parents actually got along and never got divorced. What those family parties would have been like. how connected we'd be to our, you know, our family.
Yeah, like holding hands, skipping down the street.
Yeah, which is, you know, most people say it's fucking not reality, dude. It's like nobody's like that, but I don't know. I just know what my normal life is like.
My wife's family, like when we first started dating, they were like the Brady Bunch. Everyone liked each other.
Right.
Everyone said, I love you. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Dude, my mom gives me a kiss on the lips.
Yeah.
And my wife, I don't know if it's weird or not. She's just done it since I was a baby.
I don't think so.
So my wife thinks it's so fucking weird. Like, that's disgusting. Your mom kisses you on the lips. I'm like, I don't fucking know. It's just how it's always been, dude. I don't know.
Yeah. I did it with my grandmom till the day she died.
Yeah. My mom, I did the same thing.
Yeah. I don't think it's anything
but like it's
strange.
It's what's normal for me is not normal for her. Like me, you know, you seeing your mom in the bathroom all fucked up, like that was normal at the time. You know, your wife's parents, like they're having Sunday dinner, dude.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. It's like totally, you know, there's the whole spectrum of everyone's situation is different.
Everyone's different.
Yeah.
So how did you progress through that? Like you're in and out of your grandparents' house. Like when did you find a home base after your grandparents, or were you there for a long time?
I was there for a while, and then it just became that's where I lived.
Right.
You know, like my dad went from living with his mom, then his mom died, then he was with my brother, then he was with someone else, and then he got his own place. And it was just, you know, things with like his work. He got injured at work and had to go on workman's comp. And it kind of just wasn't steady as far as like income. And then we kind of, you know, with all the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
It kind of just got split up.
Well, I mean, you're as close with your dad now as I ever was with my dad.
Yeah.
When did that relationship start to build to what it is now?
Probably like after maybe like 18, 19.
Yeah.
Something like that. Because he wasn't an angel either back in the day.
Right.
But I don't judge him for it or anything.
Right.
Not as.
How did you get to that point? It took me.
Just time, I guess.
Yeah. It took me.
Yeah.
I went to, you know, this is a tough subject to bring up, but my wife and I were having difficulties a couple of years ago, and I went to my mom's in Arizona, and we were able to squash all the beef that we had. You know, I blamed her for this, she blamed me for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were able to just put it all aside. You know what I mean? What took me, I'm 41, it took 38 years. You know
yeah, yeah. I remember talking to my grandmom, who was my mom's mom, and she used to be like, can't you just get over this stuff? And I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
You know? But her line of thinking was, if you ignore a problem long enough, it'll just go away.
You mentioned that.
And I'm like, that's not, and she's my hero. And I'm like, that's not, looking at it now, I'm like, that's not healthy.
No.
Like I said it to my therapist, and he was like, ugh. Like, that's not right. But you're talking to somebody that was born in the 30s, early 30s, different world.
Different entirely.
You know?
Yeah, my grandparents, you know, my dad's parents, they didn't even speak English. So like I never really connected with them. But my mom's dad, same thing. I think he was, you know, 30s or 40s. Just a different way of life.
And I think it's like generational, like how your parents were parented and how they're parented. Like I know my dad would tell stories like his dad would be sleeping all the time, but he wasn't sleeping. He was fucked up.
He was passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his mom, now this is when they were children. His mom would be like, you know, he had two brothers. He had a twin and a brother, Larry and Tommy. And they'd be like, his mom would be like, oh, be quiet, you know, daddy's sleeping. But my dad's like,
that motherfucker's not
true.
sleeping.
Yeah, it was true. But like, you know, he was either sleeping one off or.
Yeah.
But he's like, back then, he's like, you know, because my dad was born in 53. So you're talking in the 60s. Who knows what the world was like?
Yeah.
You know, you look at old pictures when we were kids, everybody's drinking, everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
Nobody was like health conscious, I don't think.
Even like in the early 90s, my sister and I, we belonged to Ben Salem Swim Club. And this was probably like the most normal time in our family. You know what I mean? Like I was 10, she was 7. And there was a time where we were at the swim club. For some reason, it was just me, my dad, and my buddy Mike. And, you know, it was a weekend. We'd leave the swim club. And my dad leaves the swim club with a pitcher of beer in his company truck.
Yeah.
And like, there is a million people around
Yeah.
who definitely saw this happen. You know, and we get in the car, and I remember me and my buddy thinking, this is the fucking funniest shit ever. You're like, my dad is wasted. It was on Bristol that turns into Frankfurt Ave, driving down Frankfurt Ave and just drinking his pitcher of beer. Like, this is great.
Nobody's like, I think that's a bad idea, Bruno.
Yeah, Bruno, that's the problem, dude. And it's just funny, like when you look back at it now, like, you know, I did the same thing with my wife or my daughter, just with drugs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No different.
Yeah.
No, just because I did it real quick before she saw me.
Yeah, I think you just tell yourself, like, oh, I'm okay. Yeah. It's only right down, you know, we all
right. You know? Right. But that was normal.
Yeah.
That was fucking normal.
It's like if we go out to dinner and I have a couple drinks and it's like, oh, I can drive.
Yeah.
But my daughter's in the car.
Right.
Like it should be zero tolerance, but it's not.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
Because if something were to happen, it's like, how do you explain yourself?
You're fucked.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
It's like, oh, you know, I had good intentions. You know what I mean? Like, what's that word? What's that saying? Good intentions lead to something. I don't know.
Yeah. My buddy says the biggest thief of expectations, or biggest thief of happiness is expectations.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Yeah.
So you're in your late teens. You and your dad kind of start building a relationship back up.
Yeah, and stuff with my mom was like,
she's not in your life at all.
No,
right?
she was. Yeah,
okay.
At that point. Yeah,
right.
Like we moved back in together. Like I bought her a car.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't say like not goodbye to her, but I didn't cut her off till like later on.
Right.
But it was just time after time of like
disappointment.
Yeah. Like my mom get a DUI. I had a Ford Ranger and I gave it to her. And then a week later, it might not have been a week, but a week later she gets a DUI. And it's just like, you know, I'm looking at her like, come on, dude.
Like you're the parent.
Almost.
Yeah. Well, and in that lens, you know what I mean? Like, I know you're not the parent, but
like I'm disappointed.
Right. And your mom.
She's like, you know, like,
it won't happen again.
I fucked up. Yeah. Like, and I don't know if like you say sorry after so many times, it just doesn't have the effect.
Yeah.
They just become words. It's like, okay.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't know what that's like. I mean, we all make mistakes, but if you say it 50,000 times and you don't own up, or not own up to it, but you don't follow through, they just kind of...
They don't mean anything.
No.
Right. I mean, it's the same thing with me and my wife. You know?
It's like my dad tells this story. It's not his, it's my mom's family. It's like an old family story. It was my grandmom's mom. Her husband got caught sleeping with another woman.
Right.
Like red-handed.
Really?
She opens the door and sees them. And it was my great grandmom, or everyone called her Nana K. So her husband called her K. Her name might have been K. I can't remember. But he's like, K, it's not what it looks like. And my dad's like, what do you mean it's not what it looks like? You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I think that's like one of the moments where like sorry doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's over.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, past the point of no return.
So you could look at that or say sorry a million times. Like which one's right and which one's wrong? I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But my dad's like, I give him effort for trying. Like it's not what it looks like.
Yeah.
But the family would joke about that. They'd be like, it's not what it looks like. I get a couple laughs.
Yeah, it's like one of the most horrible things that can ever happen to a person.
Like she would laugh about it.
Really?
Yeah. Like, I think much later on.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. Like it's like, because you always want to give people a break, or everyone deserves 3, 4, 5, 6 chance. Who knows what the
limit is?
Yeah, but like after a while, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah,
you know, with my mom, like the car. Then I move out. Then you know she moves away. She moved like up north somewhere, like in Poconos, or maybe that's west. I don't know, but then it's like calling, like, oh, I need $40, and I remember like Western Unioning her. This was like before PayPal, before Venmo. This might have been like early 2000s. And it would cost me like $55 to send her 40.
Jesus Christ.
Whatever it was, whatever the fee was for. And it's like leaving voicemails. And then after a while, it's like, you just kind of like, I've had enough of this.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then you try not to feel bad because it's like.
It's your mom.
Yeah.
It's your mom.
Yeah. But after a while, like when she passed away, like my dad called me. He's like, I know you don't care, but your mom just passed away. I go, you're right, I don't. Now,
That's how you felt?
Yeah, but I didn't get enjoyment out of that.
Right, just felt nothing.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know who that person is. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Doesn't mean I don't have any feelings about it, but like that person that just passed away.
It's your mom.
No, that is her.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's not like who she was that I remember of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Would she overdose?
I think she had like cancer or something like that.
Really?
Yeah. But like, it's like she died like a dog. Like there was no funeral, no friends, no family. It's like pretty much, it's like people didn't even care.
Yeah.
Now my sisters cared, and I used to carry anger with that.
Because they
like,
cared?
Yeah. And I'm like, they would post like Facebook stuff and, oh, this person's great. Not this person, but, oh, my mom was great. And I'm like, no, she wasn't.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after, years, I've been in therapy for 4 years. Not because of that. I went because of anger issues, but I'm like, they're entitled to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, who am I to tell them how to feel?
Well, it's kind of like what we talked about, I guess, before we started the podcast. With my relationship with my daughter, like her reality is her reality.
Yeah.
Whether or not we see things the same way, I'm learning that it doesn't fucking matter. That's how she feels.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how your sisters felt.
Yeah.
And but again, it's like you want to, in my mind, I'm like, you don't agree with how I feel?
Yeah.
Then you must be wrong.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So this is a never ending battle for me.
Yeah. Cause I think maybe I carry it a certain way because I was the older sibling. And I'm like, oh, well, I remember it and you don't. Because my two youngest sisters, they weren't around for the really bad times.
Almost like your pain is worse than theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because there's age gaps. Like I'm 15 years older than my youngest sister.
Okay.
And it's not her fault or my fault. It's just, that's just the way it was or is.
Right.
But yeah, in the beginning, like when she did pass away, I was like, not angry about it, but just the way they were reacting to it. Like I almost thought that they would be happy about it. You know what I mean? Or not happy, but like relieved. Like, oh,
yeah,
this is finally done.
I get that. I would be super annoyed at my sister for having a relationship with my mom.
Yeah.
For years, like, why are you even talking to her?
Yeah.
And
like you want her to be on your side almost.
yeah, she's like, like I have 2 sons. Like I just want her to know my sons.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you remember what she did to us? Like, so it's like,
Yeah.
again, my mom's reality was different than mine. She
Yeah.
lived with a drug addict, gambleholic, dude. What was that like?
Yeah. I think everybody just tries the best they can.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, you'd like to think that.
Yeah.
You'd like to think that. You know what I mean? I don't think, for the most part, people do wrong and actively think, I'm going to do this wrong thing.
Yeah.
I think it becomes instinctual and they don't even realize that their fucking mindset.
Because what do you think births addiction? It's got to be, it's like a numbing effect, right? Like,
well, like, I don't know. Like,
not that there is an answer.
Right. I never blamed anyone for my drinking or drug using. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was just like, it started off to be fun and then I got hooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know how you are. I try not to complicate it. Like I'm a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. Now I'm in recovery.
But I just say that from the point of like, if I think like, oh, how did my mom get this way?
Yeah.
Was it me? Was it life? Was it? Because I look at now, like being a parent's the hardest thing I ever did, or to this point. And it's like, you can cope in a million ways. You can go read a book. You can go for a run. You can do CrossFit. You can smoke crack. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
whatever your outlet is. You know what I mean? Or it's an escape. It is an escape.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. It was an escape.
Because look at happy hour, right? It's a thing that people do after work and unwind, and whether you do it somewhere or do it home, or
Right.
and one thing leads to another. I don't know. You know what I mean?
So how old were you when you found out your mom passed away?
It was probably 6 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
because she passed away like 2 weeks before my grandmom did.
Okay. Her mom?
Her mom.
Okay.
And they didn't tell my grandmom that the daughter passed away.
Really?
Not that it was a bad thing, but like, it was just the way the timing happened to be.
Right.
And like my aunts were like, oh, should we tell her? And I'm like, what are you going to tell her? What's that going to do?
Yeah. Only cause a harm.
Yeah. Because if there's an afterlife, they're going to see each other in 10 minutes anyway. That's kind of what I wasn't being funny, but I'm like, what are you going to tell her?
Right.
That for?
She'll find out.
She'll find out. Yeah. Or she might already even know. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Not that it was my decision, but that's just what I guess my vote was like, I wouldn't tell her.
Right.
And they didn't, but, it was 2019 is when, because my daughter was born.
Okay.
She was probably like 2 months old.
Right.
She was born in February. I think they passed away in March.
Okay.
Or April, something like that.
So at this point, 4 or 5 years ago, you and your dad are like you are today. You guys were tight.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long has that relationship been kind of like blossoming? Because I mean, there's just pictures of your dad. My thoughts on you and your dad are the same.
How long, time wise?
Yeah. How long have you guys been so connected the way you are now?
Maybe like 20 years.
Yeah. Did you have to kind of process that and forgive him for certain things to let him back in your life, or was that more, organic? Like, how did that play out?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was like just kind of just pick it up and all right, we're going to start fresh.
But he put in all the work too. I mean, you both.
Oh,
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I don't blame him for anything, but it just kind of happened the way it happened with, I don't think like he made a decision like, oh, I'm going to do things in life so we get this outcome. Mm-hmm. Like he was just doing the best he could.
Well, it's funny you say that because, to grow up with a dad who was on heroin when you were in high school, like I don't blame him for anything, but I blamed my mom for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I blamed her for everything.
Yeah.
All her reactions to my dad being a drug addict, alcoholic, gambleaholic, losing everything, I blamed her reaction to that as what was the real problem.
Yeah.
It just took me years to figure out, like, he played a part.
Yeah.
A huge part in my mom's reactions.
Yeah. Like somebody had to pay the price, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She got, I used to blame my mom.
In your eyes.
Well, I used to blame my mom for being happy. Why are you so fucking happy?
Yeah.
You left us with this motherfucking alcoholic drug addict, and now you have this great life. Like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
It's like, you're 19 years old, so you can't process all that shit that she went through. But, years of self-reflection, I guess you realize, like, she had to do what she had to do.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like my dad, I talk to him pretty much every day. And there's times where, like, he drives me crazy and everything. But, like, people tell me, like, oh, I wish I could talk to my dad. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And there is truth to that.
Yeah.
Like, my sister, she's at my dad's now.
Okay. Dana?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And tomorrow, he's like, come over, because he was over the other day. And he's like, come over tomorrow. Or Sunday, I mean.
Right.
Tomorrow meaning from today. But I think it's just because he's 71. But I still look at him like he's like our age.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
it's just damn.
Yeah.
Cool shit.
Yeah. We go like walk somewhere and I'm like, why is he walking so slow? Oh yeah, he's 71. Like I think he's like 40. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's a really good guy.
That's great, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So at what point in your life did you become so aware of your mental health? Because you're definitely one of the people in my life that are the most aware of how their mental health affects all the things in their life.
Oh, I started going to therapy, I think.
So was that decision tough for you to make?
A little bit.
Was it like, did you go because you were saving your marriage, you were saving your ass, or like, what was the main reason why you went to therapy?
I think it was just like, I need to do something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I could see it maybe going in a certain way. Well, I was just like, I need help. Mm-hmm. I can't process things. I need somebody to help me.
Right.
So it was 2020. And I called our health and welfare, got the number. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like taboo in life. Like you don't talk about your feelings or talk about, oh, what's bothering you? Oh, nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's
Go to work.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Get up and go to work. No one cares.
Just keep grinding it out until you're like a little nub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I was reluctant at first because it's something new. Especially because it was during COVID and it was like, I'd rather talk in person.
Face to face, yeah.
So a lot of it was telehealth. You know, I was on my phone or a tablet or, you know, whatever.
Same therapist the whole time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it just kind of, the way our sessions go is the way it goes all the time. Like he just pops up on the screen and he goes, so how you been? And that's all he says. And then I'll talk ad nauseum.
Yeah.
He doesn't really tell me like, oh, you shouldn't think that way. Or so I just get it out. And then he kind of just like guides me along the way.
Yeah. My therapist is the same. He's very objective in all things, you know, and just kind of gives me a different perspective on why I am thinking the way that I'm thinking. And then he kind of tries to give me the tools to get through whatever it is that I need to get through. I love it.
Because when I first started going, I think I needed like a reason for everything.
Right.
Why is this happening? And he's like, there doesn't need to be a reason. Things just happen.
Well, not to mention, I mean, you have a lot of life shit that has happened to you in the 35 years before you decide to go to therapy.
Yeah.
A lot of shit, man. You know, most people like that grew up the way we did and like, it's fucking problematic.
Yeah.
Results from growing up like that are, you know, I don't know if that's what made me a drug addict or not, but that definitely shaped the way I think and act and feel.
Yeah.
You know, I can't put my finger on how, but it obviously has.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you start, I just start thinking in a different way. Now that my biggest takeaway from therapy is I'm just self-aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm not just like ignorant to the things and people around me.
Right. Well, the one thing I learned from you is you always try to find a silver lining in all things.
Yeah.
You know, like this happened, okay, but
you
know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, and I don't know where like I formulated that or I picked it up from somebody, but that's what I try to, you know, because things in life just aren't going to work out all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're going through something now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a big move trying to, I don't know how much you want to get into it, but, you know, changing careers at this age is fucking, it's a challenge.
Yeah. I don't even know exactly what I want to do, but it just seems like I don't want to be in construction anymore. And I've talked to a couple of work coaches and, oh, well, just do what you want to do. And I'm like, yeah, well.
What is that?
Yeah,
Can you tell me what it is I want to do?
And she's like, well, you have to answer that.
Yeah.
I go, well, I love dogs. Like, you know what I mean? But
it's tough to figure that. I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Even like she even said, like, just imagine you could wake up tomorrow. You could do anything in the world. Anything. There's no right or wrong answer. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm sure if you work that exercise enough, you'll get an answer.
Right.
But just on the spot being asked on the phone, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, like, and this is my first year of sobriety, and I went from talking to my therapist about creating, I created like a couple presentations about mental health.
Yeah.
And at one point I thought I was going to be, I hate the term motivational speaker, but like I thought that I was going to be able to go to Father Judge, my old high school, give a talk on mental health and have this be my new career path. And the next thing you know, a senior superintendent, and I'm just going to stay in construction and be an employee for the rest of my life. And my therapist is like blindsided by this talk. And I'm like, I don't know. It just seemed like, I don't know if it's the easier path.
So where are you at now on it?
So I'm okay with being a senior superintendent and working my way up. I feel like it's just going to be, I don't know, easier is the right word, but to build something new just seems so challenging. Yeah, it's probably scary. It's probably fear driven, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know, putting yourself out there and leaving the industry that we've known for since we were 20 years old.
I mean, that's why you read like anything behavioral. You know what I mean? Like you read that, right? The Body Keeps the Score.
No.
The book. they talk about like how people are in abusive relationships, or you grow up in this trauma. You're at the end of the day, you know what you're going to get. So that's why people stay in those situations.
Right.
You know, whether they study like people that were in Vietnam, or I forget exactly. The book's pretty long. It's a good book, but it's behavior. Like, you know what you're going to get out of that. So that's why people stay.
Well, I get that. I get that. I will say one thing. You know, I had lunch with a buddy last Saturday. He just had 10 years sober. He was my first sponsor. We've grown up together, but he wanted to do something. He wanted to give back in some way, shape, or form. And he asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. So we came up with this thing. It's called Be the Miracle, right? We got flyers made. I just got the digital copy last night. Be the Miracle. There's a 1-800 number on the card. There's a mission statement that we created. And we came up with this idea that December 15th, right, we're going to go down to Kensington and Allegheny. We're going to give away hoodies, and we're going to give away food, and we're going to put some, you know, AA literature with the food bag. And we're just going to pass out hoodies with Be the Miracle on there, and the easiest 1-800 number that we could find that was
available.
That was my old counselor gave me to help the most people. You know, regardless of your situation, this number could probably affect the most people. And his thought process was, my buddy was like, you know, if a bunch of these people down Kensington and Allegheny take these hoodies and wear them, someone's going to call the fucking number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, this is like my first experience ever doing anything like this. So like within a week, we started to, you know, come up with a plan. We have a date, we have a number, we have the cards. We're actually going to do like a little, you know, I don't know if it's a public service announcement. He's going to come over tomorrow. We're going to do like a 20-minute, like just podcast episode to get more detail out from it and get it out there. And I'm like, maybe this is something like my way of combining the two, you know, being a construction manager and also being that other person I thought that I should be coming out of treatment. But this is like a new world for me. I have no fucking idea. We're winging it. We're trying to narrow it down as best as possible. And, you know, I don't know. It's just something we're going to try to do. Yeah,
because you want to. I would think that you want to do something fulfilling. You know what I mean?
Well, so you hear a lot of this in AA. Like, what helps people stay sober and live good lives is by doing things they don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't necessarily want to do this, but not because I don't want to help people, but like, you created a box. You built this box, you're in this box, and getting out of the box is fucking weird.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to do that, you know, but like, I was honored that he asked me, and, you know, we just started making a plan, and we're just going to do it. We're going to see where it goes. And that we thought the name was cool, Be the Miracle. We created a Venmo, Be the Miracle 1, and we're going to ask for help along the way. And if anyone was interested and donated, we would give them shouts out on social media. But this is our thing. We want to do it to help. Yeah. And, you know, like, I guess it's just our way or my way to give back what was given to me. You know what I mean? Like, so many people helped me along the way. It's like, and I'm slowly breaking into like, I text, you know, about 6 or 7 guys every morning, like just like positive things that I get sent to me. And it's just like this one big group text type thing. And like, these are hard things to do, but they help me stay sober. They help me to stay.
It's a group text?
Well, it's like, it's a single, like I don't lump them all into one because I don't want to annoy everybody. So I just send out 6 or 7 individual texts to guys in the program. And like just little things like that keep me sober. Yeah. You know, like I don't care if they, like I don't say I don't care, but I do it every morning as part of my routine. Yeah. And it's just a check box for the day. Yeah. To do these things to help me stay sober. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why they have that type of stuff. Like you read it. There's certain things that I read almost once a week. Right. Or I'll do the same guided meditation, or, you know, they're just some of the stuff you don't even get sick of reading.
Right. It's just like part of your routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I'll watch like a good YouTube video that somebody has some good information. Yeah. And I think it helps.
It definitely helps. You know, because my biggest problem is the space between my ears, man. Yeah. You know, if I let the shit
or that mantra where I've sent it to like 4 people this week. Like, I forgive myself for not being perfect.
Yeah, you've said it to me a million times.
My therapist said it to me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think he made it up. It don't even matter who made it up. When he told me that, I was like, wow.
Right.
Like, you're right.
Huh.
And I forget what it was. I forget what the reason was he even told me that. I might have been beating myself up about something.
Right.
And it's kind of just like things happen.
It does.
You
It
know what I
does.
mean?
You ever see, I'm sure you have, Good Will Hunting?
I have, yeah.
I'm going to butcher it, but there's one point in the movie where Robin Williams is talking to the other
Matt
dude,
Damon?
Matt Damon, and they're having like a therapeutic moment, and Robin Williams keeps repeating himself.
Yeah. I
Right?
forget what it
I forget.
He says like, it's all right or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
So and that was like a breakthrough for Matt Damon. So when I was an undergrad, I was a personal trainer at Philly Sports Clubs downtown, and I was training this therapist. I think she's like a famous therapist at the time, and I was just not too naive to realize how famous she was. I think her name was Yvonne like Agazarian. I looked her up years later, and she was like big time. And I guess I opened up to her one day, and she kept saying on repeat, "It's not your fault. It's not your fault."
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like, I literally something you said reminded me of like, yeah, you're like, it's okay.
Yeah. Well, I had therapy one day, and I was like, it was like the awkward silence where like he's not saying anything, but it's like my time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess that's it. I don't know. Things are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I said things are pretty good, and he's like looking at me, and I'm like, what's he looking at?
Forcing you to say more words.
Yeah. And then he's like, how do you feel after saying that? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, why don't you say it again? And I was like, things are pretty good. And he's like, say it again. I was like, things are pretty good. And I was feeling so weird saying it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the point of the exercise was. I don't think, maybe it is something from that movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if it's like a therapeutic tool. That
Yeah. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and then after I was like, why was I getting so getting so worked up about saying something good?
It's so funny you say that because you go to these meetings.
And he's like, don't you feel good saying that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but not right now. Like, you know what I mean?
It's weird. Like you go to meetings and you hear a lot of negative shit. Not I don't think negative. People are having a rough go at it and they're sharing about it. And there's this one old head dude named Joe. He's been sober probably like 50 years. And he said, you got to share the positive. You got to share the positive shit.
Yeah.
You got to let people know that the shit works, man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's hard for me to say in an AA meeting, like, hey, everything's rolling, brother.
I'm having a great day.
Because the guy before me just shared about going through a divorce and losing his kids. And I'm like, hey, by the way, I just got a new job. Everything's great.
Yeah.
But people need to hear that because that's the whole point of the program. That's the whole point of therapy.
Yeah.
Like to see the beauty of life.
Yeah.
But for years I'm like,
it's not a shot at Steve that said,
right.
You know what I mean? Or wait till he leaves and you say it. But yeah, you're right. Like I think that's where like the gratitude lists come in. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Cause we all kind of harp on the bad stuff.
The negatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the negatives.
Yeah.
Dude, so I woke up fucking yesterday. Yesterday I got my last paycheck from the old company.
Yeah.
And they docked me $3,300.
Okay.
Right. And I sent a text to the owner. I call him, I email him, and he finally texted me back. It was from the tuition reimbursement program. And I'm like, what? So I got tuition reimbursement in April.
Yeah.
In August, they put out a new policy that if you leave the company in less than a year after you get reimbursement, you got to pay it back. Well, that is a new policy. So I'm like fucking pissed. I need this money. I'm not going to get a paycheck for a couple of weeks because I got a new job. And it ruined my whole morning. I didn't pray. I didn't read my shit. I didn't send my text messages out. Because as soon as I woke up, I checked my account. I'm like, what the fuck? Long story short, I got a text back from the head of HR. I wasn't part of the new policy. They're cutting me a check. I'll get it in X amount of days. But just that little bullshit, I was so fucking negative from like 6:30 to 2 o'clock.
It's almost like you wait for it.
Yeah.
Like, here's my time.
Yeah.
It's like on a tee.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah. Like I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do any of the good shit I was supposed to do.
You just need a reason.
And something like that, really in the grand scheme of things, it's fucking small. And I was so fucking pissed. So pissed.
But I think you can be entitled to have that.
Once in a while. Yeah.
Because it's not like, oh, you're a bad person for thinking that.
Yeah, well,
I think anybody would be like, yo, 30, whatever, even if it was $30.
Yeah, I was pissed.
You know what I mean?
was pissed. And my wife's like, you better get that money back. And I'm like, I don't know how.
Yeah, you didn't sign anything or
No. And like I didn't do anything wrong. And I think they were just so annoyed with me for leaving, you know, that.
Oh, I'm sure.
They were fucking, so funny story. I had my first networking event.
And it probably wasn't even it was probably
just a
somebody
clerical
doing
thing.
their job.
Yeah.
You know?
So I had a fucking a networking event on Thursday. That was like some healthcare networking event at Yards Brewery.
Yeah.
And I go there with the new company, and all the bosses from the company I just left
Are there.
And I'm like, all right, well, how am I going to handle this? I walked right up to the owner. I shook his hand, said, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And I walked away.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, part of me was like, be a man, let them know you're here.
Well, it's a small world.
Yeah.
It's not like we work with titans of the industry. You know what I mean?
I do, yeah.
It's a small, I'm not diminishing it.
No,
it's
but
a
it's
small
not
world.
It's not uncommon to be in a room with an owner of a construction company
No.
as a superintendent.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not.
You're going to see these people again.
Yeah.
Whether they work for unless they're they own like the owner, but you're going to see all these people in a different point in your life. Might be 20 years from now.
Yeah.
And then they'll forget, like, why am I mad at you? You know what I mean? I know I'm mad at you for some reason, but I just can't remember why.
Yeah, my sponsor's like, well, they're mad because they needed you. You know, so look at the positive side. And I'm like, yeah, but why are they being so mean to me?
That's like when I quit to go to the company that I met you, they got mad at me. And somebody was like, they should look at it as a good thing.
Yeah.
Like company A got you from their company. Like it should be like a feather in their cap. And I never looked at it that way.
That's a great way to look at it.
And I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they hired you because of how good you did for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things in life, they're just stepping stones. Like the place you're at now, you're not going to be there forever.
You never know.
But you might be.
Might be.
But I'm saying, like, it's usually one thing to the next to the next.
Well, and so my wife is like, she's very loyal, and she didn't think it was a good idea to leave the company I was at. And, you know, I agreed with her to some degree, but it wasn't a lateral movement. It was a step up. And again, like, I have the most amount of self-doubt I think a person can have. You know what I mean? My therapist says to me all the time, look at the facts. Like they're right in your face, man. You got promoted from assistant to super, or you did well, you got your own job, right? You got somebody offered you a job to be a senior superintendent. Like, look at the facts, man. Like, you obviously know a little bit about your industry. And I'm like, nah. Yeah. I think I just got them all fucking snowed.
Yeah. Like you think you don't deserve it.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, so.
Yeah, but does that bleed into other things in life? Like you don't deserve to be happy. You don't deserve to be sober. You don't deserve to be.
No. All my self-doubt for real is career-based.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Like at the gym, having a good marriage, you know, being a sober person, being productive in AA. Like, I control that destiny. But in my career, I really just think it's like, I've been lucky. Like, you know, so I don't know if I told you this, but
you create your own luck though.
Well, it's hard for me to connect the dots.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I ever told you this. I got hired at McDonald's 2 years ago, and there was a guy down the dog park in Margate, and he wanted me to interview for a superintendent job for another company out of North Jersey. Russ knew the guy. Remember Sid, Russ's boss?
Yeah.
They knew the guy. They all put good words in for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it. I'll just see what they have to say. They asked me. I'll just see what they have to say.
I remember. The guy, didn't he get shitty with you?
Yeah, they weren't nice to me.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, you fucking asked me, brother. Like, I didn't want to do. They're like, why are you so willing to leave your company? I'm like, well, 3 people told me I should talk to you, so
Yes.
I'm just talking to you.
Yeah.
But my wife said to me, like, cause like Russ and you know, Russ and Sid, they're not the types of guys that are going to tell another GC, this guy's good if he's not good. And my wife's like, well, they can't all be fucking wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I think it just comes with time, like where you believe it yourself.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we all go through that type of stuff and I think it goes back to like the starting point, like your whatever trauma you carry with you or your childhood. You know what I mean? Like it's all connected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's 2 moments that come to mind as you just said, your childhood.
Yeah.
You know, I was like 10, 11, 12, playing baseball. I was a catcher, and I was doing so bad in the game. I told the coach to take me out.
Yeah.
After the game, the coach says something to the team. Like, we had a guy come up to me today and ask to get taken out of the game, and he talked about how that could never fucking happen again.
Yeah.
Right? And then fast forward to sophomore year, playing football for Father Judge. I broke my hand before the season started, so I really never had a chance to start. So I was playing JV, and JV got in at halftime, and the coach is like, all right, Lepresti, you're in. And I knew he was talking about me. I knew it.
Yeah.
And I was so embarrassed that he called me a different person's last name because I obviously wasn't making an impact on anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is a connection to the self-doubt that I feel today, but
it could be.
Those two experiences were tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Because you got all your teammates and your friends, and he called me a different last name, and I'm like, fuck,
At least it was Italian. Right?
Yeah, right. Yo, Smith.
O'Malley.
Yeah. Oh, Shag Hennessy, you're in.
But how did you handle it back then? Did you just totally dismiss it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember how I handled it, like after or during. I just know I was embarrassed. And it's a moment that just sticks out to me today, fucking 25 years later.
Because we all want to be seen and heard, and it's just like that Brene Brown book where she talks about the kid that applied at like Brown and Ivy League schools. And he didn't want to go there because they asked him to make a drawing. It was something like that, like make a drawing, and a teacher when he was in like 5th grade, like crushed him. She's like, that's the worst looking giraffe I ever seen in my life.
Yeah, those things matter.
Yeah, I think it all matters.
Yeah.
But something, just like anything else, something has to stand out in the forefront.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people are that capable of remembering everything.
Well, especially not like, it's hard to, well, you can remember some things, but it's hard to remember what you went through, the feelings and emotions attached to that thing that you remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so what was it like for you recently with, the issues with the job you were trying to get that didn't work out?
When I got laid off, I was almost like, oh, this is great. Because I was kind of asking for it. Like,
so you already knew you kind of wanted to get out of the industry when you got laid off, or you were trying.
I've been talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's like you're asking for it, then it happens, and you're complaining that it happened.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Be careful what we wish for.
But at this point in time, I have something to hang my hat on because I got laid off. So I go, oh well, there's no work anyway. Like whatever I got to tell myself to make.
Well,
me feel better.
that is a fact.
Yeah.
Or it was a fact when you got laid off.
Yeah, but because when I'm two adults are working, there's so much hustle and bustle, and then I'm home, and then our personal life's much better because it's not like who's taking Rosie to school, who's doing this, who's doing that.
Yeah,
like I'm around.
Right.
Now, when I'm not working, I'm not bringing in the income, but the things that I'm doing count just as much, even though you can't put a dollar amount on it.
Right. They're fulfilling for sure.
Yeah. Like my therapist says, like just because you're not seeing X amount of dollars per week doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Because I would tell myself like, oh, I'm not even, somebody would be like, oh, it seems like you're happier. And I'm like, well, of course I'm happier. I'm not doing anything. I'm immediately dismissing it. And my therapist is like, that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah. What do you mean immediately dismissing it? What does that mean?
Like just by me saying, oh, I'm not doing anything, but I am doing something.
Right. You put a negative spin on it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to like squash it. You know what I mean?
I'm not doing anything except for being a good dad.
Yes. Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. Because it doesn't count because I can't say like, oh, I have X amount of dollars in the bank. You know what I mean?
And we're so conditioned to be on a fucking job site.
Yes.
Like I work from home all week doing these trainings and I'm like, this is fucking crazy.
Yeah. You're like, am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah. I at the networking event, I said to the dude who's, more or less my boss. And I said to the same, they took me out to lunch on Monday as well. And I'm like, I said the same thing to both my new bosses. Like, I'm not used to working from home. I just want there to be zero transparency, or I want there to be transparency. I don't want to be any gray area. If there's something I'm not doing that's required, you might just need to tell me. And they're like,
they look at you like you're.
Both of them are like, just do the trainings.
Yeah.
Read up on the pre-construction documents that we have for this one job, and just get dialed in with our program. And I'm like, okay. What happens in a year from now, though? Yeah. Like if there's no job, nah, you're good. And they said more words than that, but in my head, I'm like, how can they hire me as a senior superintendent to not be on a project?
Yeah.
And they're building this thing in this area, and they wanted me on the team for when they do get projects.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, so they're billing me to the downtime fund, and I'm like, well, how fucking long does the downtime fund last? So it's
they'll let you know.
And like I said to my wife, I'm like, all right,
you won't even need to ask.
listen, buddy, it's not working out. Yeah. And I said to my wife, I'm like, all right, this is a whole fucking new thing for us. If it doesn't work out, then so what?
Yeah.
So what? You know what I mean? I probably can't go back to the last company, but there's quite a few people that, you and I both know in this industry, like that you could lean on to find a job,
but if I could stop you, you're already thinking about something that hasn't even happened
yet. There you go. There you go.
It hasn't even happened yet.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess the beauty of not having a project is that as one comes in, all of the pre-construction aspects to the job will just make me that much better when I get there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because you know how it is, like you started with you started at Princeton.
Yeah.
And you're day one, week one in the fold. You have no backstory.
Yeah.
Here's what your scope is. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
And be better tomorrow.
Yeah. We got plenty to do. Yeah.
I just heard that that big wig that Mark used to deal with got fired from Princeton.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the guy at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's slow.
Slow.
Yeah.
Slow. We're chasing some big job in Princeton now, and it's like, I'm going to be on these presentations at some point. And I'm thinking like, whoa, what? Like, it's just, it's like anything else. I just got to get used to it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's just, things you have to think of, and it'll just be natural after.
Well,
I'm sure this helps.
It does. It's just like guys like you in my life are a big asset.
Like I seen a video the other day where it was the higher up wellness guy. I think I sent you his YouTube video, and he was talking about him with his social media, and he's like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's just like public speaking. He's like, I would just pull my phone out, put it on the selfie side, and just hit record. And he goes, I would just talk into the phone.
Right.
Just I could be doing dishes and just talking about football or anything. It's just part of the work of getting used to it.
Yeah.
Because that's where, because presenting is a little bit like public speaking.
100%.
Even though there might not be 500 people in the room. I don't think it matters if there's 2. But it's just you get seat time with it.
Well, like I find myself like, it's kind of like a catch-22. I don't handle getting compliments well, but I also want to get compliments. So I'm at this networking event on Thursday, and
I don't need to be liked, but I like to be liked.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Scott from The Office.
So the project executives, the role, and I'm not sure if you are aware, they chase the work. The PXs get the work, right? So I'm with the PX at this networking event, and he's like a fucking smooth operator, dude, talking to different people. And we run into some person that he knows in the industry, and it was like an older woman, and she was so fucking nice. So we ended up talking to her for like a half an hour. And after we're done, I'm like, man, I was so nervous when I got here. This is my first networking event. And she's like, she's from New York, right? So she has the accent. She's like, honey, you're going to do great. You got a great smile. You got a great personality. And I'm like, and the whole time I'm thinking like, I don't belong here. I'm a fucking idiot. Like I just saw my old bosses. I'm just like, this is fucking weird. And like just that brief interaction with that lady, I'm like, all right, well, maybe I can do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I needed like some fucking affirmation from some stranger to let me know that I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, like it's not like all those people in that room were birthed to do that job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like a destiny.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's like even with work now, like or lack of work. I was thinking about it yesterday. Like I'm 40 years old. I haven't worked all year. So that's like less than 1% of my life. Like this little snapshot of not working. And we're fine.
Yeah.
We still pay bills. Everyone's healthy. Like I talked to my therapist. I'm like, okay, I didn't work this year. Like, what's the big deal? He's like, there is no big deal.
Right, you averaged 2,000 hours for 20 years straight.
Yeah, and he's like, there's nothing wrong.
Right.
It's not like you're doing something wrong. But it goes back to you're so conditioned to like work. What do you do for, it's the first thing someone asks. What do you do for a living?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even matter.
You're right.
I mean, it does, but it doesn't.
I get it.
It matters to somebody.
Yeah. It's funny. So I'm part of this group on Wednesdays. It's like an intense, like long version of going through the steps of AA. And one of the things we just read the other day was something about criticism. Mm-hmm. And, people criticize every day. People get criticized every day, whether they know it or not. And the two guys running the meeting are like, I want everyone to not criticize anyone for a week. And when we come back Wednesday coming up.
Anyone in the group or just anybody?
Anybody in general. Do not criticize for a week straight. And I get home, I tell my wife, I really want to stop talking shit about people. She sends me something on, I don't have social media. She sends me something. I'm like, what a fucking crazy motherfucker that is. And then I'm like, oh shit, I already failed, dude. I'm fucking 12 hours into this fucking thing. Yeah. But my point is like I've conditioned myself for all these years to talk shit
or pass judgment on somebody.
Yeah. And now if I'm being honest, and like now I recognize it, and it's having an effect on me.
Yeah.
The shit talking.
But I think it's a cultural thing.
Like,
we're fully consumed with it.
Yeah.
Especially with the climate that we're in now.
Yeah. It's tough. Like, I was talking to my daughter about it last night,
which is like social media. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, just like, listen, I'm not.
We didn't grow up.
It didn't happen. It wasn't around.
It wasn't around.
Yeah. So I'm talking to my daughter last night, and she's a smart 21-year-old. She reads. She's in school. She knows a lot about what's going on in the world. And I'm like, Gia, none of this matters. I'm like, regardless of whatever happened this week, I'm still getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And I still got to go to work. And for the next 20 years, that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, but we're so poisoned by social media. You know what I mean? It's like good and it's bad. You know what I mean? I'm on social media with the podcast. Like it's good and it's bad. But like,
well, I guess it depends on what you get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I got rid of all my social media like 5-6 years ago. And I was like, this is just better. Because if I wasn't talking shit.
I got rid of Twitter.
Did you?
And I don't tweet, but I look at things.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's so much you can look up. Mm-hmm. Or it just shows up on your phone.
Yeah.
And you're, now everyone says the For You page, but.
Okay.
Whether it's, news or videos, funny, you know what I mean? Like it's that I kind of, not that I worry about it, but I just think about it. Like kids nowadays, like, could you imagine if we had that?
Dude, I picked my nephew up from football.
How much trouble we would get in?
I picked this fucker up from football, and it's a 7-minute ride home. And I'm like, bro, just turn your phone off and just talk to me for 7 minutes, dude.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a natural thing for him to pick up and start looking at social media. And I'm like, motherfucker, like we're going to talk for a ride home. And like,
because we all do it.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, people look at their phone.
Yeah.
That's where it's like, I don't know. It's like a human interaction gets lost.
Well, I think, who Jordan Peterson is? Mm-hmm. I think he talks about it like we're addicted to the phone.
Oh, yeah.
You're absolutely, it's part of your body.
It's the first thing you look at.
Yes.
When you wake up.
Yes. Yeah.
Like when I worked in Princeton, I wouldn't even brush my teeth. I would come downstairs and check my work phone. Yeah. Like religiously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not in a state of panic, but just like that was the first thing I did.
Yeah, it was like instinctual. Like I got to see what's on my phone.
Like I wouldn't kiss my wife. I wouldn't say hi to my daughter. I wouldn't pet the dog. I would go right to the phone.
Right. At least you put it downstairs.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I would keep the other phone in the room for like an alarm clock and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's like you look at your phone and you try to like tell yourself like, just leave it alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's tough sometimes.
It is. Because it's right in your pocket. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's just, and it does everything. You call people, you text people.
Yeah, everything. You look up anything on that phone. It's a computer in your pocket.
And I see, I talk to other parents, like our daughter's in kindergarten, and there's first graders that have smartphones. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but Like I'm preparing myself to tell my daughter, like, no, I don't want you to have one.
Right.
Even if we can afford it or not, or it's the
Right.
cool thing. Because that's where in the next couple of years as a parent, it's like, I'm going to have to start thinking of these things.
Yeah, they're going to
as
come
like
in
a
your,
protection.
yeah.
Like I'm making a decision to keep you safe. You know what I mean?
Right. It's for a little person like that to be exposed to so many things at that age, like that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then what that does is your parents aren't helping you become a person. Social media is. Social media is dictating how you should think.
Yeah.
Right? And then how you should live. And then what is right, what is wrong, what is socially acceptable. And like then the poison just permeates throughout your life too.
Yeah. Cause like my daughter watches children's things on YouTube. Like A for Adley, or even if it's like a children's show, and she'll say the things that they say. Like she says, "For real, Dad, for real." And she's 5, and I go, "Where did you hear that at?" Oh, it was on not Bluey, but one of the shows. And I'm like, all right, well, who's to say she doesn't watch something and they're cursing on the thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? But
So
like,
let me read something to you, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy from the gym, we were just talking about like just how crazy social media is, and he's just like you, like a very insightful person. Always sees the good in people. You know, even if he's involved with a shitty person, he can somehow put that aside and look at the good in the person. So he sends me this text. Some people need a hill to die on, and I don't blame them. It's that God argument that those who don't have faith tend to be easily coerced in other values. So you find other values, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
We were talking about the poison of social media, and I'm like, man, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Like you're looking for something to identify with, right, wrong, or indifferent. And once you have identified with that thing, that is the right thing, and all the other things are wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
I think prior to social media, it was like sports. Like, hey, I play football, and I'm only going to hang out with football people. Or I'm in the band, I'm going to hang out with, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
everyone needs some, or not needs, but it's just you gravitate towards something.
A group. Yeah.
Yeah.
A thing. A tribe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because I heard it last week. It's like if you hang out with 9 tuba players, you'll be the 10th.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's like that age old thing. Show me your 5 closest friends and I'll tell you what kind of person you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah. And I don't know how you like find, when I was a kid, it's like whoever lived closest to you.
Yeah. If I can walk to
That's
your
how I
house.
found all my friends.
Yeah. You can walk to all their
Oh,
houses.
you live down the street? Okay.
Yeah.
Then you want to walk to school?
Yeah.
And then it just turns into whatever it turns into.
Yeah.
Because I had a conversation at the last job I worked, and he was the head of security at the Broad and Washington job. And we talked about all kinds of things in life. And I was like, I picked my daughter up from preschool, and there's every kid from different backgrounds, different races, different beliefs. And I'm like, all these kids love each other.
Yeah.
Like they truly do.
Yep.
They hug each other, like not in a weird way.
No,
but just
no,
like,
no.
It's so, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's so,
It's organic.
Yeah.
It's instinctual behavior.
Yeah.
Until they're reprogrammed.
and I'm like, when does it stop?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is it age 7? Like, because it does stop.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't know if it's like the kid's mature and it's like, oh, Anthony's got the wrong shirt on, or, you know, like if it's a feel, a smell, who's cool, who's not,
Right.
because it happens. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Whether somebody's a bully, somebody's in the cool club, somebody's in this, you know what I mean? So not that I worry about it, but because I see it, I hear our daughter like, oh, I'm not playing with so-and-so anymore. And it's nothing mean.
Yeah. She had a pink shirt on. It was stupid.
Yeah. She's like, oh, well, she said we can't play anymore. And I'm like, oh, okay. So she plays with the next kid. But I guess maybe I do think about it.
Well, you know, being a dad of a young daughter, I can relate to that, obviously. It's, when she would be hurt or sad because someone was not nice to her, you know, my gut reaction was, I'll fuck his dad up.
Do something.
Where's his dad at?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
she got bullied one time at the playground and by these 5 kids, and like she called me and I fucking went to the playground. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll be here. Go get all your dads. I'll be right here.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit more aggressive than that, you know. But like, you want to take the pain away.
Yeah.
You want to take the pain away, and like, but pain's inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't do it anyway.
Or that's not the right answer, or that's not not right, but that's not the appropriate response.
Right.
It could be.
Yeah. It's situationally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, the problem is you can't take the pain away anyway. They got to go through it. And like,
or that's the other thing. Yeah. Like,
you know, life's tough.
Whether you're there or not, like, it's just part of growing up, I guess.
I think for you, as you watch your daughter grow into a teen, a young adult, like, you see the beauty of it.
Yeah.
You know, like my daughter now, like, she's been going on job interviews. You know, she's been doing that for a couple of years. Like, this fucking kid just signs up, applies, gets interviews. And I'm like, holy, those situations for me were intense. And we didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You got in the union at 19, 20 years. There was no job interviews. Hey, you hiring? Start Monday? All right, cool. You know, so she's like putting herself out there in all these different areas of life. And I'm like, God damn, where do you find the courage for that?
Yeah.
And I'm 41 and like, the last job interview I went on, I woke up 2 hours early and worked out in the fucking garage because I was too nervous.
Yeah.
And she just is like driving along. I'm like, it's impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Well, you're proud.
Yeah, it's amazing. This is this young person, like, you know, she's a fucking adult, you know?
Yeah. And it's because of you, because of her life situation. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Everybody has a piece of it.
Yeah, everybody plays a part.
Yeah.
So with this being like a full year of not working, how are you feeling about this being a prolonged situation at this point?
Like, I'm good with it now. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels normal. You know what I mean?
Well, you got a routine. It works. It's like just like work. Like, you have a routine now that you've created while you're not working, and that's probably what makes it a little bit more bearable, I guess.
Yeah, like I'm trying to think of the word. I guess it's because I know I don't have to worry about like just the little things, like, because that's what would get us jammed up before. Like, oh, I got to work overtime, or I got to do this, I got to do it. Who's picking Rosie up? Who's dropping her off? Who, you know what I mean? All these little things where it's just like I kind of wake up and it's like I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, they're all worked out now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was talking to my wife yesterday. I don't think it'll be a forever thing.
No, definitely not.
But I look at it that it is a good thing. Like, because I was like defending it at first, like, oh, well, it's really slow out, or, you know what I mean? Like, I think subconsciously I'm thinking of what other people think.
Yeah.
And I talked to my therapist because it's so status quo to be working. You know what I mean? It's like when people in the union are looking for work and they go, oh, well, Anthony's looking for work. Oh, well, if he was any good, he would have a job.
Yeah.
People think that.
Yes, they
and they
do.
will forever think that.
Yes, they do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like every day that I don't work, it's like I don't care about it anymore. Like that world.
Right.
Because I was telling myself, like, I want to do something different.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm trying to like get out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, which is, I mean, you're a fucking adult now. It's like so much harder.
It's like I read it was like an Instagram post. Somebody was like, you should try like 2 to 3 new things every year. Just no matter what it is, go take line dancing classes. Like, do something new.
Yeah, something different.
Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know.
How has your relationship with your wife been, being home so much more?
I think it's better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we go to counseling and we're, a work in progress just like anybody else, but it's better because like I am around more. Mm-hmm. Whether it was me or her, you know what I mean? I'm just so like present. You know what I mean? Like even before, like she'd be like, you're so like married to the job.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And that's like a badge of honor too. Like, well, Brene Brown talks about it. Like, oh, I worked 27,000 hours last year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, what'd that get you?
Right. Well, That's been a thing.
And that's not even a carpenter. That's just like whatever.
Yeah.
You're a lawyer, you're a judge, whatever. You know what I mean? But I think it's just getting more, as our situation, it's just getting more normal.
Yeah.
Because she's like, my wife's like, you don't have to have a conventional, she's doing like air quotes, like a conventional job. You know what I mean? Because everything's a give and a take. It's like, if we're so busy, we have to pay somebody to clean the house. We have to pay somebody to cook meals or whatever it may be.
Right.
It's a trade-off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I started thinking, like, even our pet, our dog, my daughter, I'm like, I'm spending so much time, even if it is for 1 year or a year and a half, like, I'll never be able to get that back.
So you think you're 100% certain about not going back to the union?
Not 100%.
Right. Like if your old company called you and said we had a spot,
I would go back.
you would go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think it's just, I'm not to that point where I can just like keep walking and not look behind me. I think that's like the thing that I'm struggling with.
Just my perception of you is it's something you're really fucking good at. So it like, when my therapist was trying to talk to me, we were talking about the new career role that I was going to have. I'm like, it's just something that I've done for so long and I think I'm good at it. Well, sometimes I don't, but like for you personally, like, the foreman, the general foreman in your line of work, they're fucking as badass as it gets. You're building the job.
Yeah.
You're building the fucking job from the ground up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's impressive.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people can do what you do.
Yeah.
So like to give that up because you want to do something different, like that's admirable as well, but I just don't know.
Yeah. It's funny. Like when I talk to my therapist about it, I'm like, so what if I'm not Carpenter Greg? He's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But he sits here, he's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm waiting for him to be like, kind of like defend it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just taking it like, yeah, there is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's almost like I'm telling myself as I'm telling him.
Yeah.
Like, what if I go work at Dagwood's? Like, does that change who we are?
No,
you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
It's funny. It doesn't, but it changes the way we think about ourselves.
Yeah.
And like, what does that say? You're like what is that's all fucking bullshit ego.
Yeah, it's like I watched this one interview, or it was a TikTok or something, and it was this woman that was she wanted to climb the ladder in the corporate world. And she became a CMO, like a chief marketing officer. And she's like, once I got that job, I couldn't wait for someone to ask me what I did for work.
Just as she could say
Just so she could say it. But when she got to that point, it was like, it's something she didn't want. But you don't know it until you go do it.
I get that mindset.
You know what I mean?
I get that.
Like if you want to own a company, I'm sure it's tremendously hard.
Yeah.
You don't know until you do it.
Yeah. It's funny when the HR lady offered me the job and package and all, she's like, jokingly, like, be careful what you wish for because you just got it. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. And you don't know until you, I don't know if it's like a feeling or it's like, maybe this isn't what and that's okay too. I don't think it makes anybody I've seen people, and I'm sure
like our mentor. It doesn't make you a bad guy.
It doesn't make you a bad guy. That's one of the best things ever.
It's the best.
But I've worked with carpenters that went to nursing school for, just say it is 4 years long. They went for 3 out of 4 and they go, somebody's like, why didn't you finish? And he was like, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Right.
And he said it like with such nonchalantness, or he said it with like matter of fact. Like he wasn't, you could tell he wasn't like second guessing himself. Or
he made a decision.
Yeah, he's just like, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, that's pretty. It's got to be scary, or it's a good thing that you know what you want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So, what are some of the biggest challenges you have today as far as your mental health? Like, what are some of the things that like you actively know you need to work on that you struggle with?
My reaction to things.
Yeah.
Like if somebody, and it's usually people that are close to me, like my wife or my dad or my sisters or whoever. Somebody says something, like I instantly get assed up about it sometimes.
Yeah.
Where I should think before I talk. You know what I mean? So those are the couple, and it might seem small, but those reactions lead to something else.
Yeah.
Which could lead to being resentful to each other. Which
like a
could
snowball effect.
Yeah, which could lead to shutting down, which could lead to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if somebody has something to say, even if it's non-confrontational, like I should just be like, okay. Not like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you did that last week. It's like, what is that?
Right.
It becomes like a tit for tat type thing.
I get that. My wife is like, all she wants to do is help me with my finances. All she wants to do is help me.
She just wants to help.
As soon as it gets brought up, I instantly get defensive and start to react like, I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
She's like, she'll say a couple things would clearly indicate that she knows better than I do.
Yeah, but it must be something psychological where it's like you instantly feel less than.
Yeah, that's what it is. And I've learned that like as we're doing the step work for AA, it's like every issue that I have in my life is self-manufactured.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
I think that's where the self-awareness comes back. And it's something as easy as just saying that, but what you say, you know what I mean? And then take ownership for the things that you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which helps me.
No, it's and talking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To tell yourself in the moment, like, better is one thing. To talk about it, like my buddy always says, it dies in the light.
Yeah.
If you put it out there, all the negativity dies in the light. Grows in the dark, dies in the light.
Yeah, I've had instances where you could tell somebody's struggling with something. And I'm like, just tell me. You'll feel better.
Yeah.
Like the one guy who's at work, and he's like, I don't want to tell you. It was a friend of mine. Still is a friend of mine. And I'm like, just tell me what's going on. I won't think anything. You could tell me the worst thing in the world. I won't judge you. And he was a guy that doesn't really talk all that much. Man, a few words. And he told me like one thing, which led to like 7 things. And he's like, I'm like, do you feel better? And he was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
He's like, but I don't want to talk about it anymore. And I'm like, all right. I'm like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
But him just telling me the 6 things, and they weren't earth-shattering things, but it was normal stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I forget what it was, but, my daughter did this, my wife did this, I did this, I did that. I'm like, okay, you're just naming regular old things.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just the way we all process these things.
Yeah. So, but my wife, she knows that we're buddies, but she doesn't know anything about your backstory. And she's like, oh, I told her last night, like, I forgot to tell her. I'm like, my buddy Greg's coming over to do the podcast. She's like, oh, really? Like, does he have addiction issues? And I'm like, no. He's just been through a lot and understands mental health.
Yeah.
And especially mental health in our world. Like you fucking put your work boots on, you walk around. You got to have some edge to you at work to be effective.
Yeah.
In a lot of the things that we do. Regardless of how you feel on the inside, what you're showing the rest of your coworkers, especially someone that's in charge, like you got to have a fucking edge.
Yeah.
And you got to, I don't know if macho is the right word, but you got to be like, you have to personify someone that's in charge and knows what the fuck's going on at all times. If not, you'll get chewed the fuck up. Right. Yeah. And like, sometimes it's a lot. Like I was just talking to a guy last night. I got into an argument with the floor layer at the last job I was on. And he said something along the lines like, I'm just tired of dealing with fucking idiots. And I was very upset by that. So I confronted him and we discussed.
Was he like...
he was referring to us.
Referring to you.
Yeah, yeah. And it was just I'm not going to beat over the dead horse with the details, but it was a fucking expansion to a detail that was fucking fucked up design and we were trying to fix it and we needed the floor guys' help to fix it. So he said that and I'm like, I immediately confronted him about it and we didn't get into a physical altercation, but because we didn't, I felt less than.
Yeah.
Like, you're a fucking grown-up, dude. You're a construction manager at work, and you're beating yourself up because you didn't get into a fight with this guy over the shit that he said to you. And like, somebody said something like that last night at the meeting. I'm like, I totally fucking get that.
Yeah.
You know, if I get into an altercation at work and it's not physical, I walk away like, you fucking pussy.
But what if that never happened? How would you learn that? You know what I mean? Like, I think some of these things have to happen.
Right.
For you to get an understanding of it.
Yeah.
You could read it in a book.
Right.
Or somebody could tell you a story, but until you go through these things.
Well, the reason why I wanted to bring...
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about like the general.
In general.
Yeah.
But the reason why I brought that up is because in our business, those types of things happen very frequently, and they get forgotten about as soon as they're done, for the most part.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, you see the guy the next day and it's like, oh, the guy's a dick.
A lot of those things don't show up on the scorecard.
No.
And that's what I've talked to my therapist about it many times. I'm like, I have to be... It doesn't have to be me. Somebody has to be that certain way. Mm-hmm. And then when you walk through that front door, you just have to drop it.
Yeah.
And become husband Anthony.
Yeah.
Or father Anthony.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the Brene Brown thing. Like, you take your armor off, but you put another one back on.
Yeah, it's just a different one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, there is a dance with that. Where like, you know, say we were lawyers and we're in like a high stressful trial. And it's like, you're not that you're screaming, but I'm sure there's high pressure situations. Of
course.
In a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's over, like, all right, it's time to go home. And then you're supposed to just melt away.
Yeah.
Like,
Immediately
you know what I mean?
Transition back to Father Greg.
Yeah. Yeah. Skipping down the street.
Yeah.
Like, I can't wait to get home.
Well, like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but there's been times where my wife and I, we go out to dinner and I'm totally disconnected because I'm so fucking consumed by the fact that wall's out a half of an inch. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And if I explain that to her, she'll be like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah. And I'm like, it's a problem. It's a fucking problem. It's like, it's not though. But to me, it's like earth shattering.
Oh yeah. There'd be moments where I couldn't wait to get to work the next day.
Yeah. To fix whatever it is you thought you had to fix.
Or there's sometimes I go and I'm like, I was for certain I messed something up.
Yeah.
And I check it and I'm like,
thank God. Yeah.
But
yeah.
torturing yourself.
Well, right. You have to fix this thing. Until that thing is fixed, you cannot be okay. I'm getting better with that, but that was my mindset. Like, God forbid there was something at work that I thought was fucked up and I wasn't at work.
But that's not the first thing. That's not the first time it happened.
Yeah.
Something's always going to come.
Yeah.
That's what I tell myself. Like,
well,
once we get over this hurdle, another one, it might be 14 days out.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen again.
So George Berge.
Yeah.
Or you know George.
Yeah.
In my mind, he's a fucking ace. I probably look at George like you look at Mark, and I look at Mark similar to how you look at him as well.
Yeah.
But this fucking guy, if the day was over at 4:00 and we put the building in the wrong place at 4:01, he was like, all right, well, I guess we'll fucking figure it out tomorrow. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do that? The building's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Deal with it tomorrow. I'm like, but you're in charge. Yeah, well, nothing I can do about it now.
Yeah. I think that's like a learned.
Yeah, it's just a lot of time, a lot of experience.
Yeah. Because it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah.
Well, I can only speak to our world, but I don't know. Like, my neighbor works at Pico. I don't ever hear him talk about anything work-wise.
Right.
Ever. I've lived next to him for 6 years. Never.
Right.
Me, you just gotta ask me.
Yeah. How you doing? Where do I start?
Yeah. How much time you got? Yeah. He'll be like, I gotta go inside.
I'll give you a funny work story, something that just happened to me. So I put my notice in first week of October. I ended up working 3.5 weeks. I told him I'd finish out the month. So the Montgomery County Conservation District came to the job, did an inspection of all the ENS, all the erosion control measures, and he flagged us for like 20 fucking violations. It gets sent to the owner for the job we're doing, then it gets sent to my owner, and I get an email, text, and they already know I'm quitting, and they're pissed at me. Well, we're coming to the job tomorrow. We're gonna talk about this. So they come to the job, and I made the joke about putting the building in the wrong place. That's the level of intensity that was at this meeting based on all these violations, like that we just built a building and put it in the wrong fucking place.
Yeah.
So we have a meeting the next day with the Montgomery County and the head of the DEP Department of Environmental Protection. Well, it turns out the fucking inspector looked at the wrong drawings and could not identify the LOD, and 19 of the 20 violations went away. So
That's good.
It was great. So that afternoon, we had an owners meeting, and the owner asked, McDonald's owner asked the owner of the company that we're doing the job for, he wanted a retraction of all the violations. Mm-hmm. So if the fucking guy wants a retraction of all the violations, that would indicate I didn't do anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
But they were such dicks to me. I forget what we were talking about. Maybe bring this up, honestly, but what were we talking about before that?
Can't remember.
I don't remember either.
George leaving at 4.
Oh, yeah, George leaving at 4. But George would have left that situation like, we'll deal with it tomorrow. And I'm thinking like both the owners are coming tomorrow. Like, oh no, dude. Like I couldn't sleep because I didn't know what the inspector walked by himself. I didn't know what he was looking at.
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was there. And
was he looking at the wrong job or the wrong drawing?
The wrong drawing.
Oh.
There was an amendment to the site plan that showed the proper LOD, and he just wasn't identifying that. And that's where all the fucking violations came from. But I couldn't sleep. You know what I mean? I was like a nervous fucking wreck, dude. Yeah. And, you know, if I had a little bit of George in me, I'm like, fuck it, we'll deal with it tomorrow.
Yeah, and you were leaving anyway.
Yeah,
but nothing was wrong.
I didn't want to leave on a bad note.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm going to leave them with a shitstorm of a fucking project.
Yeah.
You know, and that would only indicate to them that, well, the kid knew he was leaving, so he didn't give a fuck anyway.
Yeah.
But, so.
Plus, nothing was wrong.
Nothing was wrong. It was a fucking beauty.
Yeah.
You know? So, we'll wrap this thing up. I just want to tell you, you know, and I tell you on the side, like, you're a fucking great dude, man. You're very supportive, man. My wife is like always impressed by like the messages she never tells me about that you send, and you know, that I see them. I'm like, come on, I need to see these things. But you know, you've just been like, since the day I met you, dude, you're just a positive dude. We can quote anything from The Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas. You know, it's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
And that project for us was perfect because we had me, you, Nico, Pat. You know, guys like Russ, Mark, you know, George, and it's just like, it was awesome. It was awesome. Yeah. Like, we were dying in the fire together, man. Yeah. Like, there was nothing we were going to do that was going to fix that job, but we got it done on time. Nick was there.
Yeah.
And,
well, I used to tell everybody, I'm like, this is going to be a future story.
yeah.
We'll be laughing about it.
Well, you know, and you know as well as I do, every subcontractor on a project says, this is the fucking worst job I've ever been on in my life.
Oh, everyone. Yeah.
Motherfucker, you said that in the last job.
Yeah.
You know? So I just want to thank you, man.
Yeah.
You know, you always put things in a different perspective for me. And even when we talked about the job before I got this one, that whole experience, like just the way you shed light on certain things, and, you know, like you just have a calming way about you, dude. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what somebody said something. I said, I wasn't like this all the time.
Yeah.
I just started working on it 4 years ago.
So we got the best version of you. Nico and I met the best version of you, dude. Yeah. And probably to save Nico and my ass is we worked together. You weren't the fucking concrete foreman on the job. We probably have a whole different perception of you if that were the case, dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Carpenter Greg is not Superintendent Greg.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. But you got anything you want to close out with?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool, man. Yeah. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
All right, we can get these fucking dogs now. Oh.
All right, bro.
I guess I want to end it this way.
Love you, bro.
Yeah.
We love you, Dad.
I love all of you.
We love you, daughter.
I love you too.
Wow, that was nice.
And I tell you what.